Holy man, guys, what a day for Tesla today, right? Did you see this one coming? Value Venture Investing here today. So we've seen the stock up about 10% today. It was up even more pre-market. After hours, it's fallen a little bit. But if you didn't hear, Tesla's has become profitable this quarter. Pretty amazing quarter. So it was driven by unit sales. Tesla was about worldwide on Q3 was about 84,000 vehicles that they shipped. Now we're looking at this chart here that is being quite prominent. I've seen around a lot. I mean, it's just amazing what they've done here. U.S. passenger car sales in Q3 was, in terms of revenue, over 3 billion. It's just beating out the Toyota Camry, the Toyota Accord. Just amazing, right? So in terms of actually cars delivered, like unit sales in thousands. Look, I mean, Tesla's not too far behind a lot of these other ones. It was about, the Model 3 just itself was about, what is it, about 55, somewhere around there, 55,000 cars that were shipped. So that's pretty amazing for the Q3, the last quarter. So this quarter, what happened? We saw a revenue of 6.8 billion. Now that's right along the lines of what I thought that they would be reporting for this quarter. This is a big one though, gross profit of 1.5 billion, and of course net income of $312 million there. EPS was $1.75, and the general consensus was it was going to be in the negative. It was going to be something like, it varied, but negative, 15 cents, something like that. So just amazing. So let's look at how did we get to these numbers. Let's take a look at the income statement real quick here. So as I said here, the total automotive revenue was just over $6 billion. I mean, we even saw energy and storage increase slightly as well. So we had total revenues of 6.8 billion, a little bit more than that. And the cost of revenues was not, blown out of proportion or anything like that. So we actually saw a gross profit. So this is due to, the operating efficiencies that Elon has talked about. And in terms of going further down to the bottom line, we actually saw research and development fall back a little bit. They cut costs in selling, general and administrative expenses slightly. So we saw income of operations of over $400,000, and then that brings us down to the net income at the very bottom here at a little over $311,000. And here we got basic and diluted earnings per share. So pretty amazing, right? I was very impressed. I wasn't expecting this. That's how we actually derived some revenue, but it's also very important to look at Tesla's cash position. What's happened with cash? They were burning through cash so quickly. So cash year over year actually hasn't fallen very much. About a year ago it was 3.5 billion, it's at 3 billion now. So what drove that? Well, of course, strong revenue from the sales that has translated into the operating cash flow of 1.4 billion. Free cash flow. So free cash flow is taking your operating income and minusing capital expenditures. So capital expenditures will be things like the Gigafactory, things like the plant in China, right? So that was something that I thought was very interesting. I'm always looking at operating cash flow and free cash flow because it's just like cash running through the firm sort of thing. And 881 million, right? So, very impressive. Another thing we're looking at is gross margins. Okay, so let's take a look at the note, because I think this is kind of important to look at, guys. The note that Tesla left about gross margins. So in their outlook section, Tesla says, we expect gross margin for the Tesla Model 3 to remain stable in Q4 as manufacturing efficiencies and fixed cost absorption offset a slightly lower trim mix. They also mentioned the negative impact of the tariffs on the Chinese source components. So for the S and the X, they're going to say that they most likely decline in Q4, as they expect that the sequential increase in tariffs will partially offset their increased manufacturing efficiencies. So for all three vehicles, additional tariffs in Q4 on parts sourced from China will impact our gross profit negatively by roughly 50 million. So what they're saying there essentially is these gross margins were really great. I think they're around 25%. But they think that they're going to probably remain around that level because we have a negative impact of this kind of geopolitical risk, also with their their increased operating efficiency. But we got to keep in mind that they weren't like amazing. A lot of people are saying the gross margins are amazing. Yeah, they're great. I mean, they're amazing gross margin. My theory has always been they're not going to be able to maintain those gross margins. But I mean, they're all over the place. In 2014, gross margins were around 28%, right? So, and how do you get to these gross margins? Operational efficiency. Operational efficiency is what you usually have to do sometimes. Sometimes you have to do a lot more capital expenditures, which might drive down your operating cash flow, drive down your free cash flow, and that doesn't always look good, right? And then from there, you might actually end up affecting cash. So if you ever wanted to know the bear case for Tesla, that's kind of the way they lay it out. But still, really great results. And you know, I couldn't be happier as a shareholder for sure, but it still doesn't change my opinion that the stock is not going to go to $3,000 a share. Even, you know, inputting this into my spreadsheet that I have in my last video, I'll put a link on the right hand corner right now to that video. I mean, it still doesn't get nowhere to $3,000 a share. Maybe we could see $500-600 a share, right? But in any case, you know, it was just looking at just the line items. It was just amazing, and seeing how they proved all the haters wrong, and you know, and ended up being profitable. I'm still kind of in shock. I'm still like, how did they do this, right? So hopefully we see, you know, this continue to prove more and more. I'll enjoy looking through their financial statements when they actually release them to the Securities and Exchange Commission. But as of now, I mean, amazing quarter. Doesn't take away the risk though, right? Doesn't take away the risk that there's still going to be competition and stuff like that. Even, you know, all these assumptions are that the competition is going to be non-existent, right? But you know, these strong numbers, if they can continue like this, I see good things happening for Tesla. Anyway, that's going to be it for today, guys. I'll see you in the next one.